o'clock. Oh, that's what I was looking for. All right. Okay. So I would like to welcome everyone to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. We are a member of the GOB. My co-host, Miss Alicia Milton. Alicia, please send me an updated photo.
Yes, I will.
All right. So, what is the mission of the GOB? The mission of the GOB is to make it easier and possible for people to get into commercial real estate. We will provide you with the education, the network support, and if you know, mentoring and other things. We help you get that deal across the finish line here at the GOB, okay, and help you with your underwriting. Now, the mastermind mission is one to get rid of that competitive mindset. Okay. We believe in coming together in a collaborative effort as one to take down that investment opportunity. So it is here where we will provide you with education, network support, and opportunity. What do I mean by opportunity? We go over underwrite here, true live investments. We underwrite them, we discuss them, and then we go after them. That's what I'm talking about. So, what type of people do we have here? We have accredited, non-accredited. We have new investors. We have seasoned investors. We have investors at all levels that want to be in on your deal to help you to get your deal across the finish line. So, welcome to the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds. Again, we are a member of the GOB network of apartment investors. All right. So, what is the mastermind principle? The coordination of knowledge and effort of two or more people who will work towards a definite purpose in the spirit of harmony. If you read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you know where I'm coming from. Now, T.D. Jakes said in Disruptive Thinking, his book, a team is composed of like minded people with different skill sets, but equal commitment toward measurable outcomes. And it starts here. So in his book, it said, and it starts here. I put, and it starts right here. And and it starts right here in the Commercial Multifamily Mastermind. So, and when we speak of different skill sets, we're talking about people that have skills in cost segregation. We're talking about people that have skills in lending, such as Chris Peters and Mark Gross. We talk about people that have skills in property management. We talk about people that have skills in many areas in our commercial industry to help you get that investment opportunity across the finish line. So I see you don't have to use a recording today. Let me see. Is Jim here? Is Jim on?
Good morning, Daryl. Yes, I am
Good,
on.
good
So
morning.
uh,
So, so
I'm
to
I'm happy to be here. I brought a guest with me, Edwin Epperson, who is another fund manager on our Avestor platform, and so wanted to make sure and be here this morning to welcome him. But your recording does a lot better job than I would do. So
You sure?
yes, sir. Happy to
All
be here.
right.
Happy to be here and answer questions. So
Sounds good. So, so as I mentioned, we are a member of the GOB network of apartment investors, but the GOB network was created by a gentleman who has a very big vision and a very big dream. And we here at the GOB and the members of the GOB are here to bring that vision, that dream into reality. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the founder, the creator of the GOB network, Mr. Jim Biggs. Jim, take it away. Oops, hold on, everyone.
hello, this is Jim Biggs, founder of the GOB Network. I think most everyone knows that we started the network as a member-driven platform to help more people get deals done. Whether you're a new investor that has no clue how to get started, or you're a seasoned investor and you're just looking for more net worth, liquidity, or other pieces that might be missing from your team. As an example, we recently sponsored a 134 unit deal in Houston, Texas, an 88 unit deal in Tulsa, a 34 unit deal in DFW, a 28 unit deal in Baton Rouge, a 24 unit deal in Dayton, Texas, along with 42 units of self-storage. All of this was with members of the GOB network. And we have many more LOIs, many in negotiations and under contract. These are just a few examples of deals. They came to us and we helped them sponsor that deal. So I just want to use that as an example of what we're trying to do to help everyone that's on the platform. And it's available to anyone. If you're interested, just go visit thegobnetwork.com. Also, I want to say how proud we are of the many faces of the GOB network and the many places that are represented. Thank you for being part of that by being here today. So let me close by saying to you, get on board, because the GOB network can do the same thing for you. Oh, and one more thing. Let me say we are especially proud of Daryl Murphy and his mastermind group, and to have them as part of the GOB network. Daryl is one of the founding members and sits on the board of advisors for the GOB network. Thank you very much to my friend, Daryl Murphy.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you. Now, as Jim mentioned, the GOB network, there's a lot that's incorporated, there's a lot that's part of it. And as I've stated, within the commercial multifamily mastermind, we have all different skill sets. So those people I like to take this time to introduce, and starting from left to right, I like to call them family members because they help us out. Starting from left to right, Mark Gross. Take it away, Mark. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody how we're family members.
Sure. Thank you very much. Good morning, Daryl. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mark Gross from CSSI, it's Cost Segregation Services. We're the largest provider of cost segregation studies. If you don't know what that is, what we do is accelerated depreciation studies, which identify the parts and pieces within a property that can be depreciated faster, go against your income, and thereby reduce or eliminate your federal tax liability. So I work with all property types nationwide. I'll put my information in the chat, and happy to be here. Thanks, Daryl.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Mr. Chris Peters. Chris Peters, take it away. Introduce yourself.
Hey, good morning. Thanks, Daryl. Good morning, everybody. Chris Peters with StackSource. StackSource, we are a commercial real estate financing platform. We have over 1,000 unique capital sources on our platform. We've closed about $1.5 billion of financing across 46 states. More than half our business has been in the multifamily space, everything from ground up construction, value add, redevelopment, purchases, refinances. We're seeing rates come down a little bit. Lenders are becoming a little bit more aggressive. Conventional banks and credit unions have sort of slowed down, but we're seeing a lot more activity from private lenders. So if you guys have any questions on markets in general or specific assets, I'll put my info in the chat. Thanks, Daryl.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
Got it.
And next up, Mr. Robert Aragona. Robert, take it away.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning, Daryl. Morning, everyone. Robert Aragona here from Garden State Funding. I'm out of the New Jersey market. For the past 20 years, been helping small business owners get access to capital through asset-based lending products, meaning receivables, PO funding, equipment lease financing. I even brought on a new lender. We can leverage any machinery and equipment valued at $1 million and above to get a term loan or a line of credit. Along with that, I'm doing all types of commercial properties, single family to multi, everything in between for the bridge loans or long-term 30-year fixed rate mortgages. My third area of finance is going to be the business, no collateral, unsecured lines of credit or personal loans up to 450,000. I have my info in the chat. You guys need term sheets, LOIs on your deals, please reach out. Thanks a lot, allowing me to share.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. So, everyone, the Commercial Multifamily Masterminds, we are on Facebook. And we ask that you join us. Come to Facebook and join the Commercial Multifamily Mastermind. What we do here, we try to keep relevant news going. What's going on in the market? Keep you up to date, right? On Wednesdays, we also broadcast live here with the capital raising strategy session. All right, but we definitely try to keep this page up to date. Now you're welcome to come start a conversation. Let's get something going on here, right? You're more than welcome to come and start that. But however, there's no soliciting. You cannot bring a deal here. All right, you cannot bring a deal here. And if you're looking for something, you can definitely ask in here in the Commercial Multifamily Mastermind meeting. Okay, there's one requirement. We just have two little questions right here that asking you to answer so that you can become a member. That's it, and you could come right in. Now here we have the GOB network. We have our page right here, the GOB page. Here you have a lot of information. Jim posts topics and questions, and you could come here. You could post a question. You could post things here. Again, just don't. We ask no solicitation. That is anything that could get us in trouble. All right, with SEC and stuff like that. All right. So, however, here, we do have two questions right here for you to answer, so you could join the page. All right. So just two questions. That's it. Okay. Then connect with Commercial Multifamily Masterminds on Facebook. Let me get this number up from 227. Help me get it up to about 300 people, please. But here, what we do, a lot of times the recordings, as long as we're not recording something that's vital, we do release it on the YouTube page where and if you subscribe, you will always be kept informed. You will be kept informed of what's being released and stuff like that. Okay. If you want to connect with me, come on over here to LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's my profile and my pictures. Now, if you want to be a GOB member, the page is down right now. Page is down there, but you can reach out to any GOB member. Alicia, myself, Jim, Sonia. I don't know who else came in, so I can't call everybody's name. But reach out to us and say, hey, I would like to be a GOB member. All right. And we'll get you started. And guess what? It's free. It's free. So what's next? I want to send a little message out to all of the owners and the brokers. Owners and brokers, I do this every single Tuesday because we know the truth about what's going on in the market. Right now, the market is tight, and we are underwriting deals. Even in my coaching program, the students they're on the hunt. And last night we had a coaching call And I said, this is not the time to start slacking off. This is the time to get revved up. See, other investors are starting to slack off. They're going on holiday break. And they going out of country and everything. But I'm asking you not to slack off. Pick it up, rev it up. Yeah, listen, there's still opportunity out here. And don't let the opportunity slip through your fingers. Okay? So if you're going on vacation, while you're on vacation, pick up that phone. Shoot out some emails before you go out on the town or whatever. Okay? Because I'm telling you, if you sleep, somebody gonna get that deal before you. That's what's gonna happen. So don't sleep. If you don't have to go on vacation right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't go. Wait till after 1 January. Okay? Because now is the time. Rev things up. I've been saying this for years. Rev it up. Don't go on vacation. So owners and brokers, listen. I know you have properties. You're looking at selling sooner or later. I'm asking you to bring them here to the commercial multifamily mastermind. Let us take that property down. Give us that opportunity. You heard what Jim said. We have the capability. We have the education. We have the network. We have the support to take that property down. So I'm asking you, brokers, owners, give us the opportunity. Okay, if you're a broker and you're coming here, I know you have a buyer's list, and I know you're getting deals. I'm asking you to bring some of them deals here. That's what I'm asking. Okay? All right. So updates. So as you all know, I'm still here in Dayton, Texas, and I'm enjoying this Texas weather. I'm enjoying this Texas barbecue. So, but just want to let everyone know here in Dayton, Texas, here at the property is coming along very well. We are leasing them up, and we hopefully pretty soon we'll have a new property manager, and I'll be able to head on back home. So for those of you who don't know, I've been here since July, living in Texas, and I've been enjoying it, enjoying the weather, enjoying the food, and making sure that things get done here. So the property is coming along, and if you're in Houston, if you're in the Houston area, I would like to invite you to come out here to the property, take a look at it, take a look at what we have done, the storage units, the security that we have implemented, the renovations that we have done. The parking lot looks a lot more fuller. The parking lot has more cars in it, and those are not cars that I had towed in either. So it's full. It's looking fuller and everything. So it's really great. I've learned a lot being here. And that's why I thank everyone, okay, for your support. Who needs help with something first? I want to say that. Who needs help with something? If you need help, come off mute, and let's discuss what you need help with, because this is an educational platform. Who needs help?
So we need help with raising capital for the various opportunities that we're inputting into our GOB fund. That's for accredited investors. There's a ton of investors that are on the GOB fund. We have it for accredited and non-accredited, but the RV park is on there, and as well as some other assets. So if you're interested in that, we would love for you to send us a message. So that's what we can use some assistance with, Daryl, is
All right.
investors on that platform.
All right. All right. And don't you have a meeting or something?
Yes, we do. I was trying to wait my turn, so thank you for that.
Okay.
We have our GOB Inc. call. It's every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll drop the link in the chat so that you can attend that. That is for the ladies. So sorry, gentlemen. It's only for the ladies. We do have another session here live in Arizona. It's the third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. That is Arizona time. So I'm not going to do a time zone. I'm just going to say Arizona time because our time doesn't change. That's at 6 p.m. So right now on this side of the season, we are 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Arizona time, 7 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Daryl. It's great.
All right. You got that one. All right. Who else needs help with something? Do we have any new investors? You may have a question, something that you heard that you're not familiar with. You may have read one of my newsletters or one of my articles. You have a question about, please feel free to ask. Okay. You may have a question about underwriting. We are going to get into, I am going to discuss underwrite briefly, but it's going to be because of AI technology. Okay, AI technology. So, does anyone who's working on something and you may need some help with working on something? Who needs help?
Hey, Daryl, I'm still working on the 14 unit here in garage. Still raising for that property. I finally got a site plan for 10 acres. It's looking really well with the semi parking and the self storage. We are working on getting that one across the finish line here. Looking for investors to close the gap on that. Actually, here in Little Rock. So, any investors interested in that, please drop me a note in the chat. I'd be happy to connect with you.
Sounds good. Okay. Make sure you put your contact information in the chat. Okay.
Will do. Thank you.
Right on. All right. Who else working on something? Working on something. All right.
Hi, Daryl, this is Ken.
Hey, Ken.
I'm working on 81 units in Houston. 2018 build A-class. Waiting for the broker to get back with some questions for where they had that thing set up on their OM. I'd like to have a second set of eyes look at it when I get all that information.
81 units in Houston. I underwrote a property that's 81 units in Houston. It sounds like the will, Chris.
Bingo.
All right. So, okay. All right. So anyone wants to help them with that, help them out. Put your contact information in the chat. All right. So I did submit, everyone, I did submit an LOI. Wait a minute. No, that's the work I'm working on now. I submitted LOI on a property here in Humble, Texas. So waiting to hear back on that. He wants 100 and it come to find out that I learned he wants 123,000 a door. As I explained to the broker, I am nowhere near 123,000. But he said, Daryl, submit that LOI anyway.
Hey, Daryl.
As you all know, when I submit an LOI, I do not just submit an LOI. I submit my LOI with a cover letter, with my bio. Okay. So I explain in detail how I came up with my offer. Okay. So I want to send a message out to each and every one of you. Regardless of what the seller may be asking, I want you to submit that LOI anyway. But don't just submit the LOI. Submit the LOI and attach a cover letter explaining your underwrite. So they don't think that you're just shooting a bunch of crap, right? Explain to them in your cover letter how you came up with your price. Okay. What is it that you may have overlooked? At the very end, you put that. If there's something that I've overlooked, please let me know. Okay. So, like he said, Daryl, submit the LOI anyway. I said, okay. And I told him where I was. All right. So it is an A-class property. come to find out, it's also, I do believe that property was on a watch list by agency. I think they ran into a little distress, but you know what's going on right now in the market. So more properties are going to be hitting that watch list.
Hey, Daryl,
Yeah.
did they explain why they believe that that property was 120 something a door?
It's an A-class property. Think they could get it.
That's it? No
Yeah.
comps, no.
Their comps, even with the comps, it doesn't justify
Right.
even with the comps because they were slightly above the market. So if you look at where the market is, and as I explained to them, and I, show graphs, and I didn't have to show graphs, but I did, showing graphs of how the rents are on a decline and stuff. And that was the reason why I came up with the price that I came up with. But it's their rents are slightly above the market, and the rents and were slightly, so he thought he has he got an A-class. He feels that he could get the 123, but the property he's not getting it. And this is like I think the second time that I've had to talk to the broker about his prices, and supposedly he came down a little bit, but what can I say?
Have they shared if they've gotten any other offers?
Oh, they're getting offers. They ain't his offers, but
Right.
they're getting other offers.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. And I am currently underwriting. I am currently underwriting another deal in Houston, and I'm still waiting for the financials on a 250 unit property in Houston. All right. So once I get those financials, I'll be keeping everyone informed and abreast of that. So before I move into the day, uh, is there anything else that someone would like to bring forward?
Hey, Daryl,
Yeah.
I'm looking, obviously, most of these deals that have been mentioned today, I am taking an active role in. So would encourage anyone, if you have any questions, reach out to the folks that spoke up about those. But did want to let you know that if you want to speak to me, feel free to get on my calendar or text me if you have my phone number. And also, I have a question or comment, but wanted to wait until everyone else was finished before we get into the actual content of the day and find out what the content of the day is. But before I forget, I'm looking for note investors. I'm looking for $800,000. I'm paying a fixed rate 8% note, paid monthly and secured by real estate. So if anyone is interested in that or knows anyone that's interested in monthly income, please reach out to me and let me know. And the question I have, and we don't have to answer it now if you have something else planned, but I had someone reach out to me and ask me about, I'm new to underwriting multifamily and come from underwriting different types of assets, and wanted to know what was the top, for the sake of argument, what's the top 5 things you look at to verify if someone's underwriting is conservative or aggressive, or what do you think the most important things are to look at first in someone's underwriting? But if we've already got something lined up and scheduled, we can make that an offline topic.
No, I want to make that an online topic, but let me do this because I like that. And since my topic is really on underwriting, right? Because what do we do here every single Tuesday? We talk about underwriting. That's what we talk about, right? So before we get into um what Jim was talking about, I just want to talk to everyone in reference to using AI with your underwriting. Now, the part that I'm going to show you, this part here, I'm not going to discuss. Matter of fact, and what Jim had mentioned, I think this part is going to be important here. We're also going to get hit up into the metrics of underwriting right here. Okay. But what I wanted to say to everyone, I've taken one course on data scientists generating with AI on ChatGPT. I took one course on udemy.com, and I'm now taking a second course. Dealing with and this course is with finance, investing, market data research, and it is in relations to using AI and how you can use pull in your certain data from certain information from, say, your rent roll or your T12 into the AI. So the one thing I definitely have learned is this: AI is not perfect, and AI is not smarter than we are. And don't think that it is. You could put in any information, and I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna tell you any information that you want to know. It's out there. You can find it. It's on Google. It's on Bing. It's on any other platform. You can find the information. The difference between you and AI is just a little quicker. And if you pull data using AI, you better check. You better check that information, because AI is a trained platform to pull data from the internet. It's not pulling data from any miraculous place. So every single thing that it's telling you is coming from the internet. It's just coming faster. You don't have to go try to search it out. So I was looking at AI, and again, I'm taking the course, and AI is what's important to know is all about the prompting, how you talk to it. You have to talk to it in a certain way. And if you don't talk to it in a particular way, you know that old saying, trash in, trash out. Okay. So whatever you want it to do, it can do, but you have to tell it what you want. You got to be very specific. You have to be very detailed, and it will give you what you want. So the reason why I'm showing you this right here is because this whole piece right here, can be generated for you in AI. Now, if you're using the free version, okay, the 3.5, you can't do it. Okay, it requires for you to have the data analysis part. Okay, and that's going to be GPT-4. But if you have 3.5, you're going to have a limitation. You're not going to be able to get it. Also, GPT 3.5 is only, I think it goes back to 2021 or something like that, 2022. However, GPT-4 can pull in real-time data. Okay, it can pull in real-time data. Okay, but again, it's all about the prompting. How do you talk to this thing? All right, so I wanted GPT because those in my coaching program know how I work. I have Each one of these are broken down. I want to know I want to know unit count for each one. I want to know the average for each one. And I want to know what is the most recent rent received when they moved in, or you could cross-reference with the last rent update, okay? The last rent charge, okay? So if you give it, so these numbers, GPT goes in under the analysis and it pulls it up. It will now you check it, because if there's something wrong, you need to ask it, how did you get that number and where did it come from? Then you go back and take a look at your data and see where that number is. Search it out. And say, oh yeah, I see where you got the number, but you're wrong or incorrect. You ain't gotta say wrong. Say, hey, your data is incorrect. Please go back and do not pull from column balance. Make sure you pull it from the move-in column. Okay. And give me the average. Do not, and you got to let it know, do not use certain things. Because if you just tell it to give you the average, it's going to give you the average, but your numbers are going to be wrong. When it comes to this, you have to tell it, don't pull in any blanks, don't pull in any stars, don't pull in any whatever, so that it will know not to pull it in. And tell it, don't pull in on this particular column when you're getting average, because if you say it any other way, it can affect these numbers over here, which is the units. Okay. Then when you come over here, you need to know what rents are being charged. The last rent that was charged when that person moved in, make sure you are very specific. Now, I don't know if any of you are using AI to help you with your underwrite, but if not, you could give it a shot. You're going to have to play with it. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to have to learn your wording. How can you word this thing to make it do? And it's going to take a little bit of time. I would also encourage you to take a course with using Chat GPT, because it's not just about going into Chat GPT and saying, hey, do this, do this, do this, do that. It's not about that. It's about telling it who you are, what you're doing, what you're looking for. I am a commercial multifamily investor and underwriter. I am responsible for analyzing rent rolls to get the total number of unit counts, averaging each of those unit types, and needing to know what is the last rent charged on move in. Okay. And then and so forth. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention, because the first course was it was a little tough, because it was more into coding than anything else. But the second course that I'm in right now is, they're not more into coding, they're more into prompts. They're more into telling you what you need to do. And the course that I'm taking, it is a finance course on investments, market investments, real estate investments, and stuff like that. So just want to really bring that forward to discuss that. But if you're using AI, it's an excellent way to help you with your underwrite. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it really does cut your time down. So, where you may have had to do all of that manually, now you tell, once you get your wording, once you get your prompt correct, all you got to do is throw your prompt in, and it will generate your numbers for you. So I just wanted to bring that forward to your attention. Anyone want any questions in reference to me using Chat GPT AI for underwrite? No questions. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. All right, Jim went off camera. Jim, let's bring that topic back. Let's bring that topic back.
Yeah, yeah, I'd be interested in just a roundtable discussion. Everyone, what is the top 5 things, most important things that you look at in regard to underwriting a multifamily deal?
So don't everybody speak all at once.
Like this specifically the underwriting or the deal itself?
Well, I think that, yeah, I'd like to stick to underwriting because I think we'll get a lot of off topic. I think all of us would agree that underwriting the sponsor and the deal team is probably the most important piece. So, yeah, I think I'd like to keep the topic specifically to the underwriting.
My first thing is like, I wouldn't say how distressed, but unit vacancies versus market vacancies, like how distressed is it? Is that a management problem or is that a property problem? And because that can, that's usually can be fixed without doing a lot of updates. How vacant is it versus the market vacancy, and then what are the rents? The second thing is what are the rents versus what the market rents are.
So, Kenny, do you have a way of validating that information inside the underwriting, or is there something else that you do? Not the market rents, but talking about vacancy and if it's a management issue, or a property issue.
Yeah, if I underwrite several properties in the area, like you sort of get a hold of what the vacancy is, and there's a couple of information things like Moody's has something, apartments.com has something like about, and then there's a couple other free ones like Apartment Listing Network. ALN has like a monthly newsletter where they publish like the MSA market vacancy rate, and so
is that one public knowledge, Kenny? The ALN?
I think so.
And are they still primarily a Texas organization, or are they doing different markets?
They're doing different markets. It's probably not as robust as their Texas stuff, because they basically what they do is they submit they get input from apartment owners, and then they just push it back out as like a thing. So like I just input my stuff once a year, and then I get the monthly updates as far as like say Kansas City. This is like a market thing. Thing. It doesn't really distinguish between like Class A versus Class B assets. It just goes over all like the market, in general. What's the occupancy? What were the concessions? Stuff like that.
So anything else that you look at that you're going to key in on and say, I really, this is a red flag for me. I'm looking for these certain areas for red flags.
Not really a red flag, but a green flag would be, does it have assumable debt, especially these days in the like I would say four and below range. You see a lot of guys advertising that as like as part of the deal now. So does it have assumable debt? And then if it does, what's the rate? But as far as red flags, the vacancies in the market rents, it points to management issues that could be fixed without doing a lot of like the physical updates.
Now, Jim, I don't know if what I want to say. I don't know if it's what maybe also answering the question that you asked. But the one thing that I do in my underwrite, I do look at the vacancies. I had a broker say we're at 93% occupancy. And when I looked at the rent roll, I told him, I said, you don't have a 93% occupancy. You have less than 80% occupancy. You don't have a 93% occupancy. And he didn't say anything. Now I don't know if he knew what I was talking about, but I did explain. He said, first of all, yes, you do have a 93% occupancy if you're only counting your vacancies. I said, but you have a ton of NTVs up here. And those NTVs are going to be vacant, and some of them have already left.
Daryl, could you explain the acronym?
Oh, notice to vacate. I said, so if
And
you,
how did you, I mean, that's typically not in someone's rent roll. And now, when you say now, were they actually showing you notices to vacate, or these were just lease expirations that were coming up on a given month?
so these were actually NTVs. They were notice to vacates. And that's what made me look at it because I'm looking at he's correct, 93% occupancy on based on vacancies. But when you start looking at those notice to vacates that were actually there, I said, and some of them had already left. Some of them dates had already came and gone. And then you still had some more dates coming. And so sometimes what I will do, if I see notice to vacate dates in the future, I will send a message over to the broker and say, hey, are these people still leaving, or have they renewed? And he'll say, no, they're still leaving. Now I will take a look to see if there's anyone that's going to be expiring, and I will ask about that too. What's going on with these people? Because that is going to affect your vacancy, which is going to affect the purchase price on that property. Another thing you have to look at, please remember that your rent roll and your T12, they're not the same. The months are not the same. That's what I meant to say. Those months are not the same. Usually the T12 lags behind the rent roll. Okay. So when you're putting in your average rent and you're putting in that last rent charge, there's going to be a difference in that effective gross income compared to the T12. So how do I handle that? One, I let the broker know, according to your T12, you have loss to lease bad debt concessions, which, and I hope I'm not off topic, Jim. If I am, just pull me back in. But loss to lease, bad debt concessions, and any other losses, models, stuff like that, if that says 10%, you have to look at the effective gross income on your underwrite and the effective gross income on that T12, and you have to match those numbers up. Because if you don't, if your number is much larger, say 2 million, and on the T12 is 1,500,000, you're giving him that extra 2 million, which you shouldn't. You got to put the difference in there, because when you take over that property, you're taking over that property with the income that is coming in at that time, that day that you closed. Okay. So every single month, that's the reason why every single month you need to ask for updated T12 so that you can make your adjustments. Okay. When you look at the loss to lease bad debt concessions, that number could be greater than what they are reporting. And you have to let them know that in your cover letter. This is another reason why my offer is where it is. Okay. So those two things are something that I really drill on when I'm submitting my cover letter to the broker. I want him to know you don't really have this type of a vacancy. You got this one. And you really don't have lost these bad debt concessions, that percentage of vacancy. You really don't have that. You got this one. Okay. Those things are important in your underwriting.
So real quickly, if I can recap, Daryl, I think what you're saying there is I'm looking for a key metric, which is what is the difference or the delta between what they're reporting, the actual T12 income versus what the rent roll is showing, or versus what the pro forma is showing? Which one of those numbers are you comparing, and where are you finding that information on the underwriting model?
So on the underwriting model, and that's an excellent question, Jim. See that? I'm glad we got the model open. All right.
And not every underwriting model will look identical, but all of these are built on an Excel backbone, and most of them will have very similar language. And if you see one that doesn't look anything like this as far as language, because people can take and change the way something looks by using graphs and charts. And some people are more visual learners, and that helps them. But you, from a terminology standpoint, you should be able to realize when we're saying rent roll, and you don't see rent roll referenced anywhere. Instead, you see some other terminology like monthly leases. It should be very easy for you to make that transition to say, oh, okay, these are the same thing. And if you don't find these pieces in underwriting, obviously that'd be a huge red flag for someone that is either being deceptive or is naive in their underwriting journey. I shouldn't say naive, new, and potentially not as learned in the space yet. But while you're looking for that, Daryl, to show someone the delta that you're looking for and where you're going to find it, I think that for me, a big red flag is when you look at a lot of the underwriting models that are being sold for 50 grand. And when I say the underwriting model is being sold for 50 grand, what I mean is you join somebody's coaching program, you paid 30, 40, 50 grand to join their coaching program. They give you their proprietary underwriting model, which, by the way, we have a dozen different underwriting models you can use on the GOB network. We like this one. Daryl likes it. I like it. Spencer Burton is a financial Wall Street wizard when it comes to this kind of stuff. This is based on his model that Daryl has made, continued to add on to and make enhancements to. But a lot of these underwriting models will give you a pro forma rent, and it's looking at the delta between where they are now and the pro forma. And it says, okay, based upon those two numbers, here's what your return metrics are. And what most of these models don't factor in is how long did it take you to get there? In other words, they give you full credit on the pro forma as if you had accomplished this day one. And that's not very accurate. That's not very conservative. Okay. No matter what other pieces they're doing, if they don't factor in how long it takes to get there based upon what your rent roll is showing you. What I mean by that, you can't come in and rehab 75% of your units in month one if you've only got 10% of the leases expiring. And most of them don't give you that sensitivity, that level of sensitivity, saying, okay, month by month by month, here's our plan. We're going to renovate this many units because that's how many we have coming vacant. And you need to have that layered in. And if you don't, then it's going to have a massive effect on the metrics, on the return metrics, because they're just assuming, I won't mention any names, but I'm about to say something my pastor used to say all the time when I was growing up in the orphanage. I'm not going to do that. The initials are BS. Okay. The program, the person's initials are BS. Their underwriting model, they may have changed it recently because they're making a big deal out of their underwriting model now, but it used to be so simple that, and they have a lot of people that are in their program that come from finance backgrounds, and their underwriting model said, we're going to achieve a 20% rent increase, and it was factored in day one. And that's just not very accurate. So that's a big red flag to me. If you don't have any type of sensitivities built into your underwriting model. Okay. And that would include when I'm going to make improvements, when I'm going to raise rents, but it might also include exit cap rate sensitivities. Okay. Most underwriting doesn't have that. Most underwriting doesn't have interest rate sensitivities. It doesn't have achievable rent sensitivities. Okay. And I'm not saying they all have to be there, but you should be able to look at it and figure that out yourself. But the big thing is if they're underwriting, and I'm seeing more and more of this as deals are getting more and more expensive, you're in a hot market with a B class property in a B class area, or a C class property in a B class area, and you see lots of opportunity. It's all classic units, no rehabbing has been done. And they're saying because the market is so hot and they're going to upgrade this to a B or a B plus asset, that they're buying at a 4.5% cap rate, or the market cap rate right now happens to be 4.7 for this particular asset, and their exit cap rate, which should be in every underwriting model, should have an exit cap rate. It used to be no one would ever show it to you, but we've been out there pounding this drum for so long that now just about everybody's asking, what is your exit cap rate? Okay. And it should almost always be higher than what your entry cap rate or market cap rate are. And if you don't understand, there's a dozen different types of cap rates and how to calculate them. If you don't understand those, you need to first get educated on those. But it needs to be higher. There are certain situations where it could be lower. I can remember when cap rates were at 12% for a C class asset, and it's been almost 20 years since they were that high. So if you were underwriting with an exit cap rate of 12%, historically, you would have been protecting yourself. I would have been extremely conservative, but you would have never won a deal. But what I don't want to see is that a C class asset, you're underwriting, the market cap rate is 4.75, and you're underwriting at an exit of 4 or 4.5, a 4.25, less than what the market rate is and what you're buying it at. Because theoretically, if it's a distressed property, you should be buying it at a if it's value add, there's something about it that is distressed that you can add value to. So with that in mind, that exit cap rate should be higher. And so that's a big red flag for me to look at. Any others that you
yeah.
have? You want to cover that, Daryl?
Yeah, I do, because everything that you just mentioned in reference to, and that's just what I was talking about. When you're looking at the performer rent versus your in-place rent, I'm going to use those two numbers right there. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the underwriting. Only thing this time I'm going to have to use Spencer Burton model, right? Because I was going to use Robert Beasley model, which is right here. I was going to use his model to show you how this here, right, that loss to lease, sometimes that loss to lease is higher, and you have to factor that in. But I'm gonna have to show you here. Okay, so now, and just to let everyone know, what Jim was talking about is absolutely true. Right now, I'm currently working with, and I was hoping, and I meant to ask this: has anyone here ever worked with the real estate lab? His name is Brandon and David Topin. Have any of you ever worked with them? Because I just want to talk with you about it. Now, not about that, but about them. I just want just to get your opinion. However, I'm working with them, one, because I want my own model. I want to create my own underwriting model. Only thing, my underwriting model, I'm going to tell you, is going to be more sophisticated. It's going to be a little more detailed because of what Jim just stated. And I said to them, I don't want to have one rent growth percentage to cover all my units. I don't want that. I also want there was other things I wanted implemented, but they're willing to work with me. They're willing to work with me so that I can have my model on and my platform. So so let's get back to what Jim was talking. Let me stop rambling right quick. And this is the one thing that I say. So effective gross rent. See right here, effective gross revenue. It could be called effective gross revenue. It could be called effective gross income. It could be called effective gross whatever. Okay. But when you are doing your underwrite, and this column right here, you can't see it now because I have so many rows, but you see this? This is your in place. This is your number as you are underwriting this property, getting ready to purchase property. You want to know just what Jim said. What is that income going to be? What is the effective gross income going to be on that day? Okay, because like Jim said, if this number says 4 million, but the T12 is at 2 million, you have no $4 million on day one of closing that property. Nowhere near $4 million. So let's touch on I could touch it. I'm gonna try to remember everything Jim said, touch on base, touch on and show you why I like this model. So one, I take when I'm finished inputting all of my rents right here. Okay, this is in place. This is stabilized. This is where I'm trying to get to. Now, so when I'm finished with my in-place rents right here, I come over to the T12 and I come to the effective gross income, which is right here. And you see that number? I want to know see this number? I need to know this number, 375,145, because that's how much money, if I was to close today, that's what this property is worth. So this number is going to reflect that number. Okay, and this is okay. And how do I do that? Right here. I put that number right here. What was it? 345. 345. Let's just say this is a test anyway, right? So let's just say that 3,345,756. Let's just say that's on the T12. Okay. So now this number here has to reflect that. And this is where by changing my loss, lease, bad debt concessions, my credit loss, okay, let me make sure that's the credit loss. No, wait a minute. Is that my credit? No, that's not my credit loss. I'm in the wrong section, everybody. Hold on one second. I'm up here. I'm at my right here. This is where I should be. Oh, so as you can see, I already did it. I already did it here. Let me go back to the T12. As you can see right here, notice this number here matches this number here. Because when I close, I know that's what I'm going to have. However, their number, this number right here for them was originally, I think, like a 6 or a 7. But once you make the adjustment here to reflect to what you're paying today, this number is going to increase, and you need to let them know that. So now Jim said, wait a minute, but down now, okay, so we got that straight. We good on that. Okay, so Jim had also mentioned about vacancies. That's the reason, another reason why I'm telling you right here. Where is it? Oops, why do I keep going back up there? Right here. See this right here? You see that? Vacancy. If you know you're having a big renovation, then you should not be using a normal vacancy, which is going to be right here. You need to detail it out. You need to come down here and say, okay, we're going to detail this out. right here. So that way we know and let's say we start renovation on month 3. Okay. Let's say we start renovation. No, month 1. So hold on a minute. Let me change this here to a 1. Let's just say, okay. So Jim says there, okay, we're going to start renovation month 1, but our vacancy, our vacancy is not going to be 8.7 because we're going to have more people leaving, right? So this is where you will come in. Okay, Jim, let's make that adjustment and take our vacancy up, say to 15%. And then you look at your rent roll, right? Now, of course, go by your rent roll because you're going to see when leases are going to be expiring. You may not want to renew those leases. So you factor that in. So during month 1, you may have a 15% vacancy. Okay. Then month 2, you say, okay, well now, so now we got 15, we're going to come down, right? And you're looking at your rent where you're going to come down to say 10%. So then you change this to 10, right? So let's say we change this to 15. So going in, we know we're going to have 15%. And then you change, so now month 2, you say, okay, Daryl, listen, we're going to have a vacancy rate of 10%. So we could change this now to 10%. And then month 3, now if you're going to have a larger vacancy because it's a heavy lift and you're going to be 20-30%, then okay, so now month 1, we know we're going to kick out a lot of people, not kick out, we're going to ask a lot of people to leave. We're going to have a greater vacancy, 30%. Now, please make sure you factor in your credit loss because that's also going to be affected. Okay, so make sure you factor in your credit loss. All right. So for now, let's just keep it simple. 30% month 1. Then you say, okay, month 2, we're going to drop this baby down to say 25, and then we're going to drop it down to 20, and then we're going to drop it down. Now, as you notice, you're noticing up here, my numbers are changing, okay? Because as I adjust these numbers here, okay, these numbers up top are changing, okay? Now, that's going to be our vacancy. Now, and so for what Jim was saying, if hopefully you all understand, if there's no way if you're going to do a big renovation that on month one all these units are all 100 units are renovated. There's no way, and that is not that's not adequate underwriting. I don't want to call it, everyone have their own way of underwriting, but that will cause a red flag for me. Seeing that you're saying you have a major renovation, but all your vacancies are 5%. Ain't no way that's gonna be 5%. Or you saying your effective gross income right here. Let me just change some of these numbers. I'm gonna change let's change this here to 1,500. Okay. Or you're saying that your effective gross income is going to be 4 million when your T12 is at 3,100,000. It's just no way that's going to happen. Okay. So Jim said some other things. One other thing that also is a red flag for me is growth rates. And I stress heavily in my coaching program. Yeah, know what the percentages are in your market. Now when I'm talking about these properties, you got your major MSA, you got your city, you have your neighborhood. Okay. Your neighborhood is not the same as your city. you need to know what is your market rate, what is your cap rate for that neighborhood. And I guarantee you it's not going to be the same as the city. Okay. So and also that means you need to know what is the rent growth and rent growth in that neighborhood, the city. Why? Why the neighborhood? You need to know that dollar amount. I wouldn't focus so much on the percentages. I'm gonna tell you that right now because the percentages could fool you. What I will focus on is the dollar amount. What is the dollar amount that we're seeing? 25, 50, $100 or whatever. Okay. That's what I will focus on for the neighborhood. Because that's where my property is. Okay. Then you can justify that percentage. Because if you just say, well, we're just going to do 4%, and that 4% may be $20. But the market, but your neighborhood is saying more. But I guarantee you, if you don't know that dollar amount for that neighborhood, that whoever the investor is, he's going to question you on that percentage. You need to let him know, yeah, the percentage may be slightly higher, but this is the dollar amount. This is another reason why on my model, I will be able to adjust each and every one of these when I put in a percentage. I don't want 4% for each and every one. I want to be able to make it what I want it to be. Okay. So I hope I was able to speak a little clarity. Oh, in reference to my here it is right here. So the market cap rate, 5.5. If you notice, my exit cap is a 6.5. Right? I went one whole point up, right? 100, well, some would say 100 basis points. Okay. And so in today's economy, in today's market, I just don't know what the future holds. Yeah, I could have, because if you look right here, that's 7 years. Yeah, I could have went seven basis points. I could have, but I didn't. I wanted to go complete 10, all right, to make
So
it one whole point. Yeah.
can you explain? I know that you have CoStar, but are there any other areas that you can look up the cap rate if someone was looking to find the cap rate in their neighborhood and in their city?
Yes, there are other resources. There are other resources that you can go to find. I'm gonna have to. Besides, yeah, don't think about CoStar because that's a paid version. Um, oh, the your brokers, they have reports that they do every month. I
Quarter.
think Marcus, and you have
Every
some of the
quarter.
big, yeah, every quarter, right? You have some of the big brokerage firms, Marcus and Millichap, Cushman and Wakefield,
CBRE.
CRE. You have some of the big ones. They release reports every single quarter, um, and you'll be able to find to see what's going on in your particular market. Now, also, I don't know if it's still available, but there used to be a site called REIS.com. I don't know if it still exists or not, but I used to go there and pull data. And this is when I first came into commercial 7 years ago. But so I don't know if it still exists or not. But that was another source. It's called REIS, REIS. I don't know if it still exists though.
Yeah, it's Moody's Analytics now.
Oh, and also go to Moody's because they do have some free information there that you could gather stuff from. Yeah. So did Jim leave?
Yes, he had another meeting.
Oh, that was a pretty good topic too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's stay on it though. Let's stay on it.
Cedric
So
asked, When will this be posted? This
Oh,
video?
with this video, you know something? It's going to be this one here. I keep saying it's going to be the day. It's going to be the day. This one is going to be today. Yeah, this one is definitely going to be today. Yeah. But so what other source so what else do you look for? What else is considered a red flag, whether if it's from the seller or the broker or what other source, what other thing you look at on your underwrite that makes you question it?
I
Daryl, it's
question their
Moses.
sale price.
Daryl, it's Moses. I think Jim hits it on the money when he talked about it, but I think the one thing that we all need to keep in mind, one, you do the five focal points of the area you're going to, and then you use that data to then decipher if the projections are going to be possible based on what you know of the area where you're buying. That's rule number one. And then two, we also have to focus on the economic cycle you're sitting in. And then you have to apply that knowledge because no formula is going to give you that. That's just practical knowledge that you have to apply to all the crunching. It's like you said, you can, if you don't know what to ask AI, you're going to get what you ask. So you
That's
have
right.
to know those fundamentals and then look at that to see if those executions are possible. And the reason why so many were fooled, if you will, in the last 2 years and beyond prior is because the cap rate came and got lower and helped your numbers quicker than actually having to do the work or the value adds. So people made money because just it was time to flip, and then they sold it as, well, there's a lot of meat on the bone. You probably didn't put any meat on the bone to begin with, so because you didn't need it. The cap rate helped you. So that's why today's underwriting is way different. Knowledge has to be applied when you're looking at your numbers.
And Moses, you know something? I don't think the sellers are understanding that we have to look at our underwrite in a totally different way now.
Correct, and that's
Yeah,
to some degree the brokers have to educate them, but they're not. They're also, some of the brokers are just not there understanding all the moving parts. We do an extremely hierarchy of due diligence because we know once you're in it, it's difficult at that point to turn the tide. It's, like you said, you're only going to be working with that capital that property is bringing in at that time, the revenue that's coming at that time. It takes time to move it from one pendulum to the next where you
yep,
need it to go. So now you're stuck with strap of cash and you got to move around with all the different pieces.
yeah, yeah. And you may want to, some of the things that Jim had mentioned, I'm gonna tell you they're excellent. And you may also want to ask the operator, do you have any operating reserves? I'm not talking about capital reserves. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about operating reserves. Do you have any emergency money put away or written into this deal? Because listen, today it could be sunny outside, and we all know that it could be raining tomorrow. Heck, it could be raining a second from now, right? Just as quick as the weather change, the economy could change. So, how are you protecting your asset? Are you no? Are you protecting your investors? That's the question. Okay. Are you protecting your investors? All right. What else? Come on. This is a good conversation right here, everyone. Things to look for, red flags, red flags. Once my model is done, I will be um, I will be presenting it to everyone.
Here's
And
my question.
go ahead. Go ahead.
And apologies for interrupting. I just didn't want to forget it. So you and Moses talk a lot about cap rates, right?
Yeah.
And I know the lower the cap rate, the lower the risk. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the lower the cap rate, the lower the risk, but it also, the lower the cap rate, the slower the return. Is that correct?
So let's discuss that first part.
No, that's not accurate.
Okay.
Right. But wait, Moses. Let's discuss that first part, Moses. Let's discuss that first part. The lower the cap rate, the lower the risk. The higher the cap rate, the higher the risk. Let's discuss that part right there before we get into the other part, right? Jim made a statement. He said, you need to understand cap rate. What does it mean? Where is it coming from? Because there are different, I want to say there are different levels or different areas of cap rate. So what do I mean by that? The cap rate for Houston is not going, did you hear what I just said? I said the cap rate for Houston is not going to be the same as the cap rate for, name a
Dallas?
city. No. I want to go a city. I think it was because that was the only city I would not.
Galveston?
No, it's in another state,
Oh.
and it was really bad. Memphis, Tennessee. If y'all know about Memphis, Memphis at one point had a very high cap rate, where Houston had a low cap rate. And now, relating that to what Alicia said, lower the cap rate, lower the risk, higher the cap rate, higher the risk. What that is in relationship to is, as I stated, the name of the city. That's the city. Memphis had a high cap rate because they had a high crime. Crime was out of control. There was a very high risk there and everything. The lower the cap rate, so yeah, Houston had a lower cap rate because they weren't as bad as Memphis, right? Now when I speak of that cap rate, that's going to talk about for the city, for that market. I'm not talking about the MSA. I'm talking about that market. Okay. So now let's come down into the neighborhood. Higher the cap rate, and this is again sticking to the risk factor, not to the growth of the money. Higher the cap rate, lower the risk, right? So Houston itself may have had a 6 cap or a 7 cap, but the neighborhood called, let's say, Pearland may have had a cap rate of 4 or 5. Pearland is much, I'm going to say that's not really good because I stuck with a city to city. I should have went with a submarket to a submarket. So, but I think let's just make believe. Let's just say Woodland and Pearland. Woodland had a cap rate of 7, and Pearland had a cap rate of 5 or 4. Okay. So if you're looking at risk versus lower risk, and if you say, well, let's just say that was a higher crime, just a little bit out of the norm there, right? That's why cap rates were higher. But Pearland is nice, luxury, crime rates low. They're going to have a lower cap rate, so it's a lower risk. Now, when it comes to let's get into the part about what Alicia said about is it true about the lower the cap rate. I think she said the slower the money. Did
Yeah,
you
that's
say?
what I've heard. So that's why I wanted to have that dialogue on it. I've heard the lower the cap rate, the lower the risk.
Right.
Higher the cap rate, the higher the risk. But then when you have a low cap rate, the rate of return on your money is slower.
Okay. So, and Moses said,
No, it's not completely accurate.
Yeah, so that's where I think a lot of education is missing. You don't. So, Alicia, the cap rate is your cash on cash when? That's the question.
At the purchase.
Well, it's the cap rate is your cash on cash only on a property that you paid cash for. There's
Cash
no
for it.
debt
Yeah.
applied to it. That's the key. The minute you apply leverage, the cap rate is no longer your rate of return because now you have debt that you're leveraging off of.
Right.
So now your cash on cash could be 10% because you have debt applied to it. But it's the same cap rate that the building is when you purchase it. See how it changes?
Yeah.
That's where you need to pay close attention to. Now, you can say lower cap rate. Neil Bauer would say lower cap rate means more efficient the building is operating. That's how he looks at it. But there's so much more to cap rate than just
yeah,
giving it a title of rate of return. That would be a flawed approach just because when we talked about economy of scale, it's the same thing. You look at all the different pieces that actually makes up the whole pie. So when you look at cap rate, you also want to ask how hot is the market? Because a low cap rate could determine that that market is very hot. But like Dial pointed out, you also have to look at the city and the neighborhood where the cap rate falling, and then the actual property based on its numbers. What is the cap rate on that on the property itself? So you have to look at all of them together and then make a confirmed decision. What is really the fact base that you're going to go off of. So that's why I said I don't agree with that, but because that's how you have to apply the knowledge to all pieces and then come to a consensus what is real and what is going to cause risk. And you could give me a cap rate and I could say, well, it better be in a good location, it better be in a newer built property. Those are things that the cap rate can tell you just by if you're telling me that's what the cap rate is. Don't give me a building in like Memphis and tell me it's a 4 cap. I know it's either have to be a building that's now in construction and it's sitting on the waterfront or something for it to carry that kind of rate. So that's how you can analyze quickly just by if someone's trying to chain you into a cap rate that doesn't really fit the market.
yeah. And I'd like to touch base on cap rate just for one more second, because let's apply now. Okay, so we talked about city, we talked about neighborhood. Now let's talk about property, cap rate for the property, right? Can a cap rate be applied to an unstabilized asset? Now, I know that's a two-part, that's a tricky question. I know I worded it tricky. And somebody, I'm expecting somebody to say, well, Darryl, you have to clarify that, right? Who?
Well, what's making it unstable?
It doesn't matter. It is an unstabilized asset. You already know it's an unstabilized asset. Can you apply? Okay, can you apply that building when you do your calculations? Can you apply that going in cap rate? Can you apply it to that building? To going in?
I would say no.
No, you can't. The asset is unstabilized. A cap rate can only be applied to a stabilized asset. So if that cap rate now here's the second part of the question. Can the exit cap rate be applied to that asset?
It better be.
There you go. There you go. The exit cap rate will apply because the asset should be stabilized.
Mhm.
You see that?
Yeah.
So now, and that was the other part that Jim mentioned. Remember, Jim said about the cap rate every rarely time it may be lower. Remember,
Mhm.
he mentioned that. So let's just say that you have an unstabilized asset, it's 50% empty and it needs complete renovation. It's below market. So the cap rate on the property when you do your underwrite may come in at a 10, okay, or no, not ain't gonna go that high. Let's say it comes in at an 8, okay, but the market cap rate is coming in. The market cap rate is coming in below. All right. Now remember, you're going into this. All right. You're going into this property of an unstabilized asset. You got to put new roof, new gutters. You gotta put new insides because the place is just tore up from the floor, and it is 50% vacant. The market, the neighborhood cap rate for this particular asset is running about a 7, and you're coming in around about an 8, 8.5, maybe a little higher. But now you got it stabilized. What you should see is a better cap rate on your exit out, where you depending on where that market is, because you will be evaluating the market every single year, okay? Depending on where that market cap is, you're gonna have to readjust your exit where it may be the same, it may be even a tad bit. Say if the economy change and cap rates start compressed, your cap rate may come down too, because it went from an unstabilized to a stabilized. Okay. So, that's just another a different, that's what Jim was talking about when he said very rarely, very rarely that cap rate, that exit cap is going to be less than the market. Okay. You get abandoned building, and you putting in all that money, yeah, you're going to sell it. You should make a pretty good profit. Cap rate on your sale should maybe lower, maybe equal to the market, and so forth. So,
Cool.
Moses, how did I do on that one? All right.
Oh, that was pretty good. Here's a simple one that I think we overlook, or or any investor should know how to calculate. How do you vet that a projected rent is actually collectible? It's a simple vetting process, and I still see a lot of investors make that error. How do you vet that the projected rent is collectible?
So, okay, I won't. Okay. Well, someone else shoot for that, and then because I think I know.
For
I
me,
think.
I talked to a property manager, but I also look at what rents are being collected at that time of underwriting and estimate where those projections are going to go based upon what's happening in that market. It's too quiet.
That's not the answer I was looking for.
I gathered from the quietness.
A simple answer.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you, Moses got me on this one because what I would look for, one thing what I want to know, I am going to do some mystery shopping, but I want to see the trend for that neighborhood. Okay, so if the mystery shopping has rents at say 1350, 1325, 1300, I know it's going to add about 13, but I want to see the trend for that neighborhood. Is that trend coming down? All right, and you can see a trend. That's one thing. That's the reason why I stress. Look at that T12, and I know I'm coming off topic just for a minute, Moses, but that's the reason why I say look at that T12, because that T12, if I see rent, excuse me, the gross potential income. Let's say they got it leveled out all the way across. They got it leveled out all the way across for 12 months. It's leveled out. But I'm looking below, and I'm seeing loss to lease increase. The number going, it's increasing. Like, wait a minute. Wait a minute, am I saying that right? I gotta make sure I'm going the right way. I want to see a decline where the rents are dropping. No, that means that loss to lease may be getting closer. No, it's not. I'm right. It's getting wider. It's spreading apart because the GPI is staying the same. The rents are declining. The loss to lease is increasing. So it's going from say 2, 3, 5, 9, 10. And I'm like, yo, what in the heck is going on here? So I do look at, I will say trend, but I also look at where my mystery shoppers have me for that too. But I'm proud. Help me out, Moses. Help me
All
out.
right, I think you had little. Your idea is correct. Where you're gonna do some more digging to it to see historic, where the market is, what the market's doing over the last year or two in the trend. But a simple approach to this is just knowing the median household income and is the tenant going to be able to cough up the expense that you're projecting that you need, the income that you projecting that you need to perform and make a profit. That's a simple calculation for any LP or anyone to look at a deal and say, is my money machine going to be able to work at these projected numbers?
So Moses, explain that in numbers.
So in other words, my formula is, you have to have the 1/3, 2/3 rule, where if someone's income is 10,000 a month, then the expense for revenue for rent should not increase more than 1/3 of their salary. So when you look at the last underwriters that we saw, like in 2021, you saw underwriter where people were at 40% of their income being disposed to just rent, and then you want to sell them on pet and gigify and all the other stuff. That's when you know you're going to run into trouble, because if everything's going the way it's looking, they're saying next year might be deflation more than anything and job loss. How is your machine going to function when that's to be factored in your risk?
So
When
can you give a number? So let's say the median household income is 52,000 or 50,000.
Yeah, so you divide that by 12, so you get the monthly income, and then you take 33.33% of that. That's what your maximum rent should be on that building. So you look at your projected rent and you look at that 33.33% and see where you fall. If you're at it or below it, you're safe. If you're above it, you're asking for trouble.
Thank you.
Now, Moses, I'm gonna tell you something. You got me on now.
Okay. Well,
You got me on now. You got me. I have to tell you the truth, man. I have to tell you the truth. You got me on. That's never been taught to me.
Yeah, because remember, who's the cash machine that we're going after? It's the tenant that has to pay.
Yeah.
That's your cash machine. So you got to make sure that you can take it out of them, and that's where I've seen a lot of guys just went too crazy and not pay attention just to that simple piece, and then see if it's workable. Now, if you can explain to me why the income is going to grow significantly over the next year or two while my property is being held, then you can project with some leeway there. But I won't take that risk unless I am 100% sure that Jeff Bezos is going to come in and give all six-figure income to everyone in the community, or Elon Musk is putting a shop or something. You have to see a significant household income growth for that to even take life in my underwriting.
Moses, can I ask a question, Daryl? Is that okay?
Well, yeah,
Okay. Moses, I really like what you said. And can you please correct me if I'm wrong? I want to make sure that I'm capturing it correctly in that instead of looking at rents as to what other people may be getting, you're looking more at the data as in terms of the median household income as the source, as the driver, which to me makes more sense because other people could be asking for higher rents, but that may not be sustainable or achievable
Correct.
in a
You said it
long-term
best.
basis.
You
Is
said
that
it
right?
best. It may not be sustainable. So you're looking for collectible or sustainable rent to safeguard your risk. And that's where you look at it from. You look for the median household income and then you apply the math to that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense to me. I like it. Thank you.
Hmm. Now I can understand why Neil Bauer has that rent the way he has.
What do you mean by that?
So Neil Bauer on the, hold on one second.
Yeah, he has the median rent. If he goes below six,
Yeah,
I think it's 650, he said that's a high risk, you
that's
know.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
on the real estate market analysis?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Matter of fact, I'm opening it up right now. The median, and he asked for it 2 times. He asked for it 2 times.
Yeah.
He
Right.
asked for the city median household income, where he says you want 35.2% median household income. And then in the neighborhood median household income, he wanted between 40 to 70,000. Okay. So the contract rent should be, yep, just like, yeah, 700 and 1,000. So Moses said, let's say 70,000, divide that by 12, and then divide that, I mean, multiply that by 33.3%. Yeah, I think that's about right. Oops. Yeah. Okay, so that's 1,900, 33.3%, 1944. So the rent, let's say the rent is 1,000. Wait a minute, am I right, Moses?
What math are you
No,
doing?
that's wrong. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'm totally wrong.
Yes, you
I took
just
the 70,000, divided it by 12, then took that 1 month, multiplied it by 33.3%. It needs to be less, you said equal to or less, correct
so it's
that? Equal to or
70,000
less,
divided by
yeah,
12.
yeah,
Your gross monthly income is 5833 and you times
correct.
33.33.
33%, and that's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
1944.25.
yeah. The most revenue you can generate out of that tenant without breaking the bank, it's 1944.
1945, yeah,
Yeah,
1944, that's
1945.
right. Okay, got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I'm hip to the deal. All right, all right.
Yeah, so when you see deals where they say, well, we're gonna gigafy it and we're gonna do rubs and we're gonna do all that, you make sure it aligns with that calculation because if it's going way over and that tenant start paying, 40% and over in shelter costs,
Yeah,
you're asking for trouble.
got you, got you. Interesting. That's good, man.
Oh,
That's good conversation.
so how do you handle it then if the city median income is, let's just round the number, 68,000, but the neighborhood income is 40,000, 43,000.
So you do your numbers off of your 40,000 because that's
Yeah,
where your tenant base is going to be.
that is, but so to take the statements that you and Daryl shared, what if Microsoft is building right there in that neighborhood or just down the street? And Starbucks is down the street, and Chick-fil-A is down the street. And these are all new builds. How
So
would
what
you
was
look
one
at
of
your
the
number?
definition of the cap rate?
Say that one more time.
What was one of the definition of a low cap rate? One of the metrics in a low cap rate, I said, was how hot the market is.
Right,
This is the temperature. So if
right.
that's going to occur in that market, then you should see a lot of demand for property because a lot of people are going to go after the news of, okay, this is what's happening. So if that happens and your cap rate starts to drop, that is going to give you value because the cap rate's going to be your dollar multiplication. That's what it is at that point.
Right, but how would you assess the numbers as it relates to the median household income? Because, it's always delayed. So the information that we're looking at is like reading a newspaper, it's behind.
Yeah.
So, how would you assess that scenario?
So you can look at it from this perspective and said, okay, now right now you just have a Walmart and and couple of superstore, but now you have a space center being built with engineers and right next door. You know that scale of income is going to get a bump. So then you're
Right.
going to do value add to make your property attract that new, that higher base tenancy. It's now going to probably move your location from a C class to a B class. That's all possible. But that's
Mhm.
where intelligence starts to apply to your underwriting. So
Okay.
that's how you will test it to see if your business plan is going to pan out for what you know is coming and what is possible.
Okay.
Moses, can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
Okay, so when I read,
I'm gonna send Daryl the bill, don't worry.
okay, I'm reading that debt, people are carrying a greater amount of debt now, credit card debt.
Mhm.
Um, and so when you look at the medium income, would you bump that number down a little bit as to what a person can afford with that piece of data information now that people are carrying a little bit more debt? I don't know if that makes sense, if you
Well,
understand what,
that's why you're using 1/3 for your housing.
right?
They should have the 2/3 to pay everything else, within their means at that point. If they're carrying 50% with total operating or 60%, that has to factor in all other debts that they're going to accumulate. That's where you give them 2/3 to operate out of. But
Okay,
it's
so that's two-third, one under the, and that takes account giving them leverage or the ability to pay the
yeah,
other.
that's only
Yeah,
for housing. That's
right,
only for the
exactly.
housing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. All right.
There's
Anything
a,
else?
there was
Go ahead,
another
Kimberly.
yeah, there was another formula that Fannie and Freddie used to apply, but it was to single family. I don't know if it ever applied to multifamily. They used to have 28, 36, 28% for housing, 36% for housing plus all other debt. Because now when they look at your credit report, you look at how much you're spending on debt, how much is your rent going to be.
Yeah, that's residential underwriting, and then you have FHA that could go as high as 50 something, back and front ratios is what they call them. You know, so that's a different metric that they use, but we're looking specifically, we're only factoring in the tenant rent here, and then the rest you leave that ratio for them to juggle how they want to pay their bills. But it's like I said in the beginning, you look at what economic cycle you're in. We have shifted the pendulum now from where we were 2 years ago, and you have to like be conservative to protect your investors. You have to be conservative, knowing that there's going to be a lot more moving parts to the business plan than you would anticipate. Because cap rate is not going to come helping you here. It's only going to get probably higher and higher and that makes the value, the building. So you got to hold on to your asset if financially, if you are able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
What,
what I've seen recently, Daryl, is you have a lot of property that went into lockbox. That's when, guys were looking at their CapEx budget and they thought, okay, we over budget, we can use it for emergency. No, no, no. When you have a business plan that says this is what you're going to do, you're going to change 100 toilets, the bank is going to hold you to that. They are controlling that CapEx budget. You can't use it for anything else. So if you can't finish up your plan. And one of the things in Houston that I run into was because of the eviction moratorium, or as the new law where the judge are holding the tenants a little longer in there because you took subsidy payments. That created a little bit of a havoc on renovation budget, renovation timing. You couldn't get the tenants out based on your business plan 2 years ago. Now you're stuck with a tenant longer, so you can't accomplish your business plan on a timely manner. That created a lot of havoc for a lot of property in Houston, because now rates are going up, but your rents are staying flat because you can't get the new units, turn and get the higher rents too. So that created, so timing is very important when you're going to do value add, and how quickly you want your planning to, and that's what I think Daryl mentioned in the formula of the underwriting. It didn't factor in how quickly you're going to achieve those rents. You just get it. That's the achievable rent, but you have to apply timing to it. How quickly would you get there?
Yeah, and that is important.
Yeah, when you go into lockbox, the bank really takes hold of everything. Nobody gets paid except the bank first, and then even the property managers don't get paid. So that's how much control the bank has in multifamily.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right,
And that
guys.
bank has a lot to say. I tell you that. Yeah.
Well,
All right.
they might have you stamped as the official property manager in Dayton. So hold tight.
All right. Yeah. I hope they didn't officially do it yet.
All right, guys. I'm gonna jump off. I got a 1 o'clock somewhere, so we'll chat
All right.
next week.
Thanks, Moses. Thank you for coming.
All right, take care.
Moses.
All right, everyone. So it's 12:51. Anything else? Anybody want to say anything else?